In this nitty-gritty Let's Play live stream, we're going to be playing American Mah Jongg and I Love Mahj. We're playing at I Love Mahj today because we have a basic topic. We're going to talk about how to pick a hand. We'll go over my top 3 tactics for hand development. So even if you're an experienced player, you might appreciate the content. And then we're going to do gameplay with commentary at I Love Mahj. Today, you'll have to forgive me, please, because I am not camera ready. I believe it's contact dermatitis on my eyelids. So I've been applying some hydrocortisone cream and it is getting better, but I do not want to wear any makeup for probably the rest of this week so I can get it cleared up, because I have a gig in 2 weeks that I need to be prepared for. So I will not be camera ready probably the rest of this week. I thank you for your patience, because I know that seeing facial expressions and such is part of the experience, and we'll just do the best we can with my avatar. Meet Hop Toy if you've never met Hop Toy, my alter ego when I play the game. So I want to say thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for being here during this live stream. This particular live stream is a nitty-gritty format, which means we're not going to do any socialization. We're going to focus on the nitty-gritty topic, how to pick a hand. I want to say thank you to our moderators for helping monitor the chat today. Hi, Mary, JL, Carol, Abby, Susan. Thank you for being here. Evelyn, hello. All right, we're going to get started right away with a very short presentation on how to pick a hand. Let me get it set up. Let's see, I think we'll use this one here. All right, here we go. How to pick a hand, style of play. You can play the game however you like, whatever is comfortable for you, but you should always be learning and improving as a player, because over time you're going to have that desire to improve based on who you play with, of course. And if you ever want to play competitively, you'll need to be on a learning curve. So this presentation has content that can help you through that learning curve and hopefully put you on a fast track if you desire. When you play American Mah Jongg specifically, there are a couple of ways that you can start with hand development. The first thing that most people gravitate to is picking a hand right away and sticking with it. I call that a fixed style of play. So you look at your dealt hand, you look at the card, and you find a hand on the card that will use the tiles in your hand, and you stick with that one hand. Maybe you play something a little similar, but for the most part, you're looking for a hand right away on that card. And it's not a surprise that that urgency is in you, because you're given prescribed hands. So I think it's natural to want to do that. And it's okay if you play with a fixed style of play. It's best if you play with an adaptive style of play. This is where you don't look at the card yet. You look at your tiles, you look for the strength of the hand, which we're going to talk about, and then you gather tiles that can be used with the strength of the hand and discard useless tiles. When you run out of the useless tiles, that is when you look at the card, find something that you can focus on to whittle out more useless tiles until you eventually need to pick a hand. So you don't pick a hand until you have all keepers, potential keepers. You probably won't be able to keep them all at that initial assessment point. So we have fixed and adaptive, and then there's a hybrid. This is when you stay adaptive during the Charleston. You look for the strength of the hand, you gather tiles, and then after the Charleston, you look at the card, pick a hand so that you can focus and train yourself how to make good decisions during the pick and discard phase of the game. Eventually, though, you want to play adaptive. That is the best style of play for any version of Mahjong, just by design, game design. You want to stay adaptive. So we have fixed, adaptive. Good is fixed, adaptive is best, but then there's that hybrid in the middle. So good, better, best, and think about these things. Try to get yourself to an adaptive style of play over time. It's okay if you play with a fixed style of play, but eventually train yourself to play adaptively. Any questions so far? Do we have newbies in the room with us at the moment? Put a 1 in the chat if you're new to the game. And put a 2 in the chat if you're experienced. We have a little bit of a delay, so I'll wait just a few more seconds. Carol is experienced. Thanks for being here. JL, experienced. Patricia, experienced. Hopefully we will have some newcomers in the live stream, otherwise maybe in the repost. So I'm going to continue with this content, and if beginners find this content, I hope you will soak it up. All right, we'll go ahead and continue on to hand development. This is where you can learn things from different people, including myself, because everyone thinks and plays a little bit differently. So even if you're an advanced player and this is a basic concept, some of what I share you may not have heard about, especially if you're new to my channel. When you play Mahjong, you want to, let me see, did I skip a slide? No. Okay, when you play, you want to optimize your potential by playing adaptive. When you get your dealt hand, look for multiples, because American Mah Jongg is a game of multiples. A multiple would be pair pung kong. So you want to look for multiples and find a hand or a category at this point in the game that can use the multiple with most of your tiles. And you're going to gather. So here our multiples are 1-band pair, 3-dot pair, 5-dot pair, 1, 3, 5. So we could play little odds. That would target the multiples. So train your eye to find the multiples in your hand. You're not always going to have multiples, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So in this particular situation, we would have these discards identified by the red lines: 2-dot, 4-dot, 6-dot, 9-band, white dragon, and north, if we focus on little odds. There's also some potential for consecutive run. So you would be fine if you play little odds, 1, 3, 5, and you would also probably do well if you played 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Either one would work. So probably discarding, let's say, the north 9-band, and then I would discard probably the white dragon and focus on 2 through 6, because you could do 2, 3, 4, 5, or 3, 4, 5, 6. with or without the dragon. And I would want to give myself options in case little odds comes in, 1, 3, 5. One thing that you could potentially do here is keep the white dragon and maybe pass the 3 crack, so that if a white dragon comes in, you could maybe do the 5th hand down. I typically don't want to nail myself into a hand early in the game. I want to stay adaptive. But this is what I would probably, if we were in passing, that's what I would pass. Or if we were discarding after the Charleston, I'd start by discarding the North. Then I'd probably discard the 9 band, then the 3, keep the white dragon, see if a 3 band comes in, or focus on consecutive run in the dots. The idea here is whatever you choose to do, you target multiples. Here's an example of what I call a widespread. This is when you don't have any multiples. You choose a category that matches the predominant pattern in your hand. For example, do you have mostly evens or mostly odds? In this case, we have mostly 3, 6, 9. You could also even do like numbers here, depending on what develops. So we could discard North, 5 crack, 4 bam, or even the 4 dot, either one. It's arbitrary, really. Or maybe because I do see another option in here, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. You could play 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, but there are more 3, 6, 9 hands than 3, 4, 5. So I would want to use most of my tiles when I have a wide spread until a multiple forms. When a multiple forms, then you're going to reassess, target the multiple, find a category that will use most of your tiles. Here's the example where we would focus on 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3, 6, 9, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 9, 4, 8, 11. So there's 11 tiles towards consecutive run. There's one more tile, but you probably would not be able to use the white dragon in mixed suits. So probably it's going to be even. So either one would work. It just depends on what comes in and which way you go, because you have discards. The challenge here is you have 9 bam, 9 crack North. I would not pass those if we were passing. If we were at the point where we're done with the Charleston and we're discarding, I would discard the North and then see if 3, 6, 9 comes in or consecutive run comes in. And that is the mindset of playing adaptive. So you don't even look at the card. You're just gathering until a multiple forms. Then when a multiple forms, like you see a 4 bam came in this example, so we're going to let 3, 6, 9 go and focus on 3, 4, 5, 6 because the 4 bam came in. 4 bam pair. You want to target multiples because that is the major nuance in the American Mah Jongg game. Every hand on the card uses multiples, pair pung kong. Sometimes only pairs and singles, but mostly pair pung kong. So if you start by using multiples, let those drive your decisions, you're going to set yourself up for success. Here's why. When you look at the card and count the types of patterns or attributes that you see, this is what you get. Big multiples, which are pung kong quint, 62 hands. That's 85% of the hands on the card use multiples. Pairs are in 47 hands or 64%. Focus on multiples. You're going to set yourself up for success by doing that. Also, don't be distracted by one suit hands. They're very pretty, but there are more hands in mixed suits than there are in one suit. So one suit with or without dragons, there are 18 hands. But if you look at the mixed suits, including dragons, 51 hands. 51. So try not to get distracted by one suit. Gather every suit that you can to support whatever the strength of your hand is, whether it is a targeting multiples or gathering for a predominant pattern until a multiple forms. Also, remember to pass defensively during the Charleston. I see a lot of players passing like numbers. And in my opinion, passing like numbers is almost as risky as passing a pair. And the reason is because 44% of the hands on the card use like numbers. That's close enough to 50% in my mind. So I avoid it. I do everything I can to avoid it. Every now and again, I might pass like numbers if I'm really close to winning a hand. So if hand development is advanced and I'm down to just a few unwanted tiles, including like numbers, I might risk it. Passing like numbers should be avoided, but it is not written in stone. There are exceptions to every guideline and even a rule. There are exceptions to every rule as well. Also, try not to pass flowers. 9 hands have kongs, 21 hands have pairs, 42% of the hands on the card use flowers. So if you are at a place where you need to either pass like numbers or a flower, pass a flower before you pass like numbers because of the statistics. 44% on the card use like numbers, 42% use flowers. So passing a flower compared to passing like numbers, 2 points off. It's pretty close, so you just have to use your best judgment. It's a judgment call. The tactics, the 3 tactics that we covered in the previous slides with the example hands, here are the actual names of those tactics. The first one is optimize. This is when you target a multiple. You're going to optimize hand development. Pair pung kong. If you have a pair pung kong, start there. Find something that will work with most of your tiles and that multiple. In the case of that first hand, 1, 3, 5, so probably a little odd hand. We could maybe play consecutive run as well, but I would focus on probably little odds, 1, 3, 5, because of the 1 band pair. And then it would just depend on what comes in. Targeting multiples is a tactic called optimizing. You optimize by targeting a multiple. The next tactic is to maximize. This is when you don't have a multiple and you have a wide spread, no pairs or any identical tile. They're all singles. This is when you want to look for the predominant pattern and choose a category that will use most of your tiles. That was in that second example, 3, 6, 9. So we could play 3, 6, 9, and we would maximize our potential because we're using most of our tiles. We could also maybe do consecutive run as I shared in that other slide. But remember that when a multiple forms, you want to reassess and target the multiple because in the end, you're going to need multiples. So start with the end in mind. Target multiples. If you don't have multiples, maximize by using most of your tiles and focus on a category using that predominant pattern in your hand. The third tactic is called streamlining. Streamlining is when you focus on consecutive tiles. The consecutive category is a powerhouse. The reason is because it uses 9 tiles. Now, all 9 tiles are not being used in any given hand. Usually it's 3 or 4 numbers in a sequence, sometimes 5. So up to 5 tiles in a sequence, but you can go up or down that 9-number range. That efficiency, that flexibility is what makes it so powerful. So if you streamline, you can do well for yourself because of that flexibility. Streamlining is when you focus on consecutive run, and they're not just consecutive tiles in that category. There are 11 hands in the consecutive run category, but there are consecutive hands outside the category. In Winds and Dragons, there are consecutive hands. Singles and pairs, quints and addition even has consecutive blocks. So don't pin yourself to just that one category. Get to know the rest of the card and look for those runs elsewhere to give yourself the most options based on the strength of your hand. If you stack these tactics, you have a power play and a really good chance at optimizing your potential to win. Optimize, maximize, and streamline, all three. Most of the time, you're going to probably optimize and maximize, or you could maximize and streamline, or even optimize and streamline. You might have just two, but when you can do all three, you have a really good chance of doing a total transformation on your hand during the Charleston. All right, let's see. Where are we here? We're going to play at I Love Mahj now, and we're going to demonstrate this hand development concept. Does anybody have any questions about these three tactics: optimize, maximize, and streamline? We're going to talk about it. We'll do maybe one or two Charleston practice at I Love Mahj. I'm going to share my screen and we'll do a little bit of practice, and then we'll do gameplay with commentary with robots. So on I Love Mahj, you can play through the game launchpad with robots, or you can play with friends, even strangers if you like. We're going to focus on the exercise room, and there are several exercises here that you can use to help build your skills and help you gain confidence making decisions. We're going to focus on Charleston practice. If you have any questions along the way, write it in the comment section or in the thread. So if you're watching the repost, the comment section below the video. If you're in the live stream, in live stream chat. Here's our first Charleston, sort by suit. And we have one multiple. Train your eye to spot it right away. My eye went right to that 9-crack pair. So if you look at these tiles, you might even miss it because it's way over there on the right. It almost looks like we have a wide spread, but we don't. We have a pair of 9s. So that is where you start. And this will help you quicken your decision making if you target multiples. It's going to simplify your decision making too. Because now we're going to look at the 9-crack and we're going to keep tiles with the rest that we have here, and we're going to keep ones that we can use with a 9. So for example, we can't use a 4 with a 9, so that will probably go right away. We wouldn't be able to use the 4 bam or the 4 dot. The rest of these we could use in some categories. For example, we could maybe play 8-9 consecutive run, 7-8-9. Here's a 7 right here. So we could do 7-8-9 and streamline. We could optimize and streamline. That would be 2 of those tactics. We could maybe play 3-6-9, but there's no 6. That's a gap. When you have a gap, disregard it if you already have a stronger option. So I would let go of the 3 and I would let go of one of the 4s. I'd probably keep the 5 because we might be able to play big odds, 5-7-9. So we would be here optimized for sure. We're going to use optimize, maybe streamline. We're definitely not maximized. We only have 5 tiles. We may or may not even be able to use that flower. We may or may not be able to use the winds and the dragons. But we now have to pick another tile to let go of. So what do? Which one of these should we pass? There are more dragon hands than there are win hands. However, we almost have news in here because we're one away from that 4-tile block, NEWS news, and it's on the card in a few ways. I would probably leverage the wins before I would use the dragons. So I would probably let the green dragon go because it's opposite of the other 2 tiles that are in our pass. So that's what I would pass. You just use a process of elimination, let go of the useless tiles, and then identify what you would keep to reveal more useless tiles. So we have a starting lineup of either consecutive run targeting the 9 crack, maybe using news. If we, for example, get other 9s, we could perhaps play like numbers with 9s. That would be a long shot though. Anytime you use the word if, that is a long shot, and you should put it lower on the option list. I wouldn't even pick a hand. I would just gather, focus on gathering and see what comes in. So let's click pass. We got a 9 and a 5 actually. So it looks like big odds or 7, 8, 9 of some kind. Of some kind. That means we're not going to look at the card. We're just not going to look at the card. We do have, though, almost news and then 2 9s. So I would consider keeping those wins and the flower, of course. And that leaves us with 3 unwanted tiles. The red dragon, you might think, oh, let's keep it because we have 8, 9, but there's no 6 or 7. So that red dragon for the 5th hand down under consecutive run, it sure looks pretty, but we've got gaps. So we should disregard that. Same thing with the 3rd hand down under odds. 5, 7, 9 dragon, we have no 7. That's a gap. Disregard it. We do have a hand in here with no gaps. News with 9s. 3rd hand down under like numbers. However, we're still gathering. We have unwanted tiles in our pass right now. So technically, we don't need to pick a hand. Not yet. We're going to stay adaptive. So here now we have 5, 7. It looks to me like this hand is set up for a big odd option of some kind. We have 1 clear discard. This is when you look at the card. This is when you pick a hand, when you have only potential keepers. We could play big odds of some kind, 5, 7, 9. We could also play 7, 8, 9, but we have only 1 8. We have 2 7s and 3 5s. So I would let the 8 go. And that means now that we only need to let go of 1 more tile. So I would let one of the 5s go probably. Which one? 9 crack pair we have. I think I would probably let the 5 crack go. And that's not a bad pass. 2, 5, 8. So we still don't need to pick a hand. We've got our pass. Once you give your pass, just don't even think about what hand you're playing because it could change with this incoming pass. A lot of times, if you're looking at the card trying to pick a hand, the next pass you receive puts you somewhere else, and then you just did all that research in vain. So try not to focus too much on what hand you're going to play as long as you have discards. We have another 9. There's a 1, 6. We have no 3s, so 3, 6, 9, we're going to disregard that. We have 2 clear discards. I would definitely continue. We're in between big odds, 5, 7, 9, but we could also play like numbers with 9s. We're in between. Some people might stop the Charleston here because there's only 2 clear discards. In my opinion, it's better to choose your strongest option and whittle out more useless tiles because you're only delaying the inevitable by straddling multiple options. So if we stopped the Charleston, because we're in between big odds and like numbers with nines in this case, we're delaying the inevitable. Instead, I would go with the strongest option and let that weaker option go and keep passing, because we have up to 12 more tiles actually, if you consider the optional across. We have up to 12 more tiles that could advance the development of our hand. So with the 9 crack pair, we've got 5-7 bam, 5-7 dot. We have the other 2 nines and almost news. I would play like numbers with news, and I would let the 7, 9, or the 5-7s go. 5-7 can go. So let's just look at this for a moment. We have almost news and we've got nines, including a pair. That's what we're targeting. So we would no longer be streamlined. We would be optimized, and we would also not be maximized, because we have 8. Well, I would call this maximized because we have, and here we have 6 discards. So I would say we're optimized and maximized if we play nines with news. The other thing I would consider is the quint chow hand. 6, 7, 8, 9.9 crack with the flower. So that is an option that would allow us to streamline. I don't think, though, we would be maximized, because we wouldn't be able to keep the wins. That's 3 tiles. So I think I would keep 6, 7. Let's just see what happens there. We've got tiles we can pass. 1 dot, 5 bam, 7 dot. They're all odds, a little bit risky, but it's the best we can do with what we have left over. You want to pass as best you can with what you have left over. Your focus should be on your own hand development first, and then you do the best you can with what you have left over. The best we can do is 1 dot, 7 dot, 5 bam. So we're going to keep going. 1, 5, 7. So now, what can we do here? I don't think we have keepers other than maybe the 3 bam. With that 3 bam now, we have 3, 6, 9 represented. We could play the second hand down under 3, 6, 9. 3, 6, 9 in bams with pungs of 9s. Incidentally, no wins came through at all. That tells me that our opponents are playing wins. So the first thought is, we're not going to get any more, so let's release these and focus on gathering number tiles. But you're also giving them to your opponents, who probably are collecting them or trying to, because we haven't seen any. So there's 2 sides of the same coin there. Either way, we have tiles we can pass. I would pass this right here, because we're going to set ourselves up for success with 2 different potential categories, like numbers or 3, 6, 9. Even consecutive run, we could still play that chow hand, 6th hand down under consecutive run. So let's see what we get. We got a 6. That is another multiple. Anytime you develop a new multiple, reassess. So if we target the multiples now, 6, 9, that points to 3, 6, 9. So I would let the 7 go, and I would let probably these wins go and focus on second hand down under 3, 6, 9. I don't think I would pass 3, 5, 7. I think that would be pretty risky. One thing we could do is pass 3, 7 bam with maybe the west. 3, 7 west. We're giving up 1 tile. But now that we have the 6 bam pair with the 9 crack pair, we want to leverage those multiples together. Try to use them together. You'll be optimized and maximized. We did not get a keeper. Now we're going to do the optional across. So we have, and we have plenty of tiles to pass. We have 6 discards. So we're going to pass 3. So now let's mitigate risk. Let's say the 2 with the 7. There's only one hand that can use a 2 with a 7. Second hand down under addition. So that's a pretty good pass. Even the red dragon would be okay to pass. I'm keeping the wins just because I'm a nut. And I like to play that second quint. If we build on the north and get jokers, we could maybe use the 6-9 in that second quint. But that's just me. My eye always goes there whenever we have a misfit multiple. Technically, that's not a misfit, though, because of the 3-6-9 category. So let's just see what we get. No keepers. So we have 6 discards and a hand with no gaps. So even though we have a lot of discards, we have a hand with no gaps, which is great. And the single and pair of 6s are in our hand. All we need in here is a flower. That's our only vulnerability. The 9.9 crack, we just need to pung the 9 crack and get something for the 9 dot. We could use jokers there. So I would say this is a good result. We're an underdog because we've got a lot of discards, but I think that was a good result, especially if you think about what we started with. We started with a pair of 9 cracks and a minimal number of tiles to support it in consecutive run. All right, what do you guys think about the result of this hand? Would you have done something different? If you're watching the repost, let me know what you would have done differently. I don't think I would have played it differently. The wins never came in. 3-6-9 came in. All right, let's do this one more time, and then we'll play with robots. We have 2 pair. 2 pair may or may not go together, these two. 5-8. The only way to use the 5 bam and the 8 crack together is to play the second hand from the bottom on the right. Susan says she might have kept the east just in case. I could understand that. We kept it for a long time. So with this one, 5-8, 5 bam, 8 crack, the only way we can use that is to play the second hand from the bottom on the right, 5, 6, 7, 8 bams and cracks. But we have gaps, no 6 bam, no 7 crack. So I wouldn't even consider that. What I would consider, though, is that misfit quint. Anytime you have multiples that don't go together, consider playing that second hand down under quints. Misfit quint. Yep. So I would keep the 5 and I would keep the 8. Then the hunt would begin. With a 5 and an 8, we want to keep the wins because if we end up playing that quint, we're going to need options. The other thing I notice is we have a 5 and an 8. We could end up playing like numbers with news again. Like numbers with news. And that leaves us with 4 tiles that we could pass with. I would pass probably red 2, 9. All right, here we go. We got a west. That's a new multiple. So you want to consider that. What can we do to use 5 bam 8 crack west? That misfit quint. That's the only hand we could play that will use all 3 of those multiples. And since American Mah Jongg is a game of multiples, you're going to set yourself up for success by targeting them and making use of them. It's the design of the game. That's the way it's intended to be played. All right, let's pass 1, 2, 4. A little bit risky. Yep, maybe. They're definitely misty. That's possible. That's why I kept the like numbers 5, 8. We have tiles we can pass so we can keep it all. And I typically don't pass flowers. Okay, now we have an 8 bam. We have 2 clear discards. So this is when you have to make a choice. Since we have a west pair, I think I would let one of the 8s go. And since we have a 9 dot that we're passing, I would pass the 8 bam to mitigate risk. We got another west. You know what that means? Pung. We have a pung. That weighs heavier than a pair. So I would play the misfit quint. It's a risky choice because we have no jokers, but on average, you can expect 1.6 jokers from the wall. That's a statistic provided by I Love Mahj in their analytics. They run analytics on games played on their platform, and they shared that you can anticipate, it's not a guarantee, but you can anticipate 1.6 jokers from the wall. Incidentally, since there are 8 jokers and 8 flowers, that statistic also applies to flowers. It doesn't work with this particular hand at the moment, but you can also use that same statistic if you're looking for flowers. So I would go for the misfit quint in this case. And then I would probably keep either the 8 or the 5, and it's arbitrary which one. Maybe we would make the choice to mitigate risk, but I would definitely continue passing. So we're going to pass 9, 2, and I would probably make it a 5 and keep the 8. We could still play like numbers with 8s and news, either under any like numbers or under Winds and Dragons, the concealed hand. 5 dot came in. That's okay. What we could maybe do here is keep the 5, pass 1, 2, not the flower, but we could maybe let go of either the north or south and keep the 5. I don't think I would, though. I think I'd let the 5 go. We already gave it away. Look what came in. 8s. 8. 5 bam goes. So now we have pung 8, pung west, and then we have 2 8s in here. Since there's a pung of west, I would play the quint, even though we have no jokers. There will also be opportunities probably to do joker exchanges during the game, and that's just going to be the luck of the draw, really. But by doing it this way, we'll be able to pass fully and maybe get another keeper in here. No, we did get the 5 dot back, but that's okay. We have tiles we can pass in the optional now. Nobody wants the 5 dot. Let's pass the 9. The 2, 9, these are going around. And check that out. That can just sit in our hand and simmer until we get a joker. We can call the west for a Kong. All we need to do is build on one of these 8s, and we can use jokers to help us do that. We have 5 discards, so we'd still be an underdog, but we have a hand with no gaps. Any thoughts? Why didn't you keep the 5 bams? Because the 8s build up. The 8s were the strength of the hand, not the 5s. So I gave up the 5. Oh, no, that was a mistake. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there in my brain. No, we were supposed to keep the 5s. Thank you, Abby. The 5 bam is what we were supposed to keep. I think I was focused on like numbers with 8s and news. So because of that mistake, I would recover by keeping the south. And then I would probably let the west go since I messed that up. So I would play like numbers with news and 8s. Incidentally, when you play the game, you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. You have, figure out an option and make the switch. So don't feel bad if you make mistakes. Giving up that 5 bam was a mistake. But look, now we could play like numbers with news. 7, 8, 7, 8. We have no 7s. I would not play 7, 8, 7, 8. Okay, so now let's close this and we're going to play with robots. Hopefully my mind will get in gear and I won't make a mistake like that. But it happens even to the best of us. So that was an object lesson. Okay, let's see. We don't want to have any invitations. All right, here we go. This is a real game with robots now. We have Joker, Flower, North, South, Green, 4, 8 in bands, 1, 2, 7, 9 in cracks, pair 7, 1, 3 in dots. If these were your tiles in your hand, what would you focus on? Write it in the chat or in the live stream chat. If you're watching the repost, write hand 1 and what you would target here. What would you target? What would your focus be? And I'll give you 10 seconds. All right, so B, hello B, she says odds. We could maybe play odds. We have a 7 crack pair. Target the multiple. Then look at the rest of your tiles and figure out what you could keep to support or use with the 7 crack. I would keep consecutive tiles. I would keep consecutive tiles. I would not keep, maybe I would keep the 1 crack, same suit. We could maybe keep 1, 3 because there's 1 hand for each of those, first hand in 1 suit, and then the 4th hand down. But I don't like nailing myself down to 1 or 2 hands. I want to stay more adaptive, which is why I would focus more on consecutive run as a category. Give myself a lot of room to just gather and go with the flow, play adaptive. Either way, we've got discards. So I would discard probably 2 green and a wind. North, south, 7, 8, that might work. We would have to give up. So for example, if we kept north, south, that would be picking a hand right away, which also I typically don't do. But that would be the 3rd hand down, north, south, 7 crack, 8 band. That's what Abby is pointing out, and Misty as well. But we have the 7 crack pair. So whatever we do, we want to use that. Let's do this. Let's keep the 2, pass the 4 and the 1 crack. And we still have an option for 1, 3, 7, 9, 1, 3, 7, probably the 9 we wouldn't be able to use. But we could maybe now do north, south with 7, 8. That's okay. Okay, here. So we have another 8 dot, and here's a 6. We've got 2s. We don't need 2s. And in my opinion, passing like numbers is almost as risky as passing a pair. So I don't do that myself. I would give up on the 1 and 3. Let's see, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. These are discards. So now we have 6, 7, 8, 9 of some kind. We could still use north, south with 7, 8. Since the 6, there's a gap here with the 6. Although we could do 6 bam, 7 crack, 8 dot mixed suit kongs. There's no gaps there. I think what I would do is let the 9 crack go. Because now we could do north, south with 7, 8, 7 crack, 8 bam, or even the 8 dot. Or we could do 6 bam, 7 crack, 8 dot with the flower, 3rd hand down on the right. All right, now we have a pair of 6s. So, and a 7, incidentally. So we have a 6 bam pair and a 7 crack pung. So we could do 6 bam, 7 crack, 8 dot, maybe let that 8 bam go. Winds, again, are not going around. These robots are playing winds, probably. We could do north-south with 6, 7, or we could do 6, 7, 8 mixed suit kongs. Either way, we have tiles we can pass. Still keeping the north-south. This right here is a little bit risky. But either way, it's going to be risky. If we do 2-3-9 or 2-8-9, it's the same level of risk here. Okay, we got an 8 crack, 3. I would just let these go. Even though that 8 crack looks pretty right there, we could maybe do 5, 6, 7, 8, pung, pung, kong, kong. I think you know what I would do? I would keep it and I would let the wind go. It's just not, the winds are not coming. Okay, so here's 7, 8, 9 in one suit. We have tiles we can pass, so we don't need to pick a hand. And we have tiles we can pass. This right here, this is a little bit risky. That's risky. So let's see, 6, 7, 8, 7, 8, 9. I think I would make this better by letting that 8 crack go, because we have an option in here for the third hand down in mixed suits, leveraging a pair, pung. So 6, 7 crack, 8 dot. This 9 crack can go to 6, 7, 8. That's what I would do. We got a keeper. And look, we got north-south back. So they didn't want the north-south. That's a surprise. Here we go. We're going to pass 3. Let's do north 9 with a 2. That's a great pass. This right here is the ideal pass. Wind with a big number and a little number, even, odd, 2 suits. That is the best kind of pass you can do right there. Okay, so look at the winds came in very late in the game. So when I discard, if I'm not playing winds, I let those go right away. They're useless. They're completely useless. And they're not going to be used in exposures with jokers as much as the exposures with number tiles. Because if you look at the card, most of the hands use number tiles. Not many hands use winds. So I let those go first. And that is a way to simplify your decision making with your discards. So let's see what comes in. We need a pair of flowers. So we have a little bit of vulnerability there. But we can Kong the 6 or the 8, and we could Kong the 7 too. I would say we're a contender here because we have 4 discards. We may be able to win this one. It would be nice if we can get a keeper early. Let's keep letting these wins go. So that 2 bam can go. Nobody wanted it. Misty asks, do you ever hold one specific wind in case you can grab that misfit quint? No, because we'd have to throw away a pair. I would rather leverage the pair that we have in our hand. So in this case, I wouldn't play the misfit quint. We have a hand with no gaps that uses 3 multiples. So I would stick with the mixed suit Kong hand. Even though we need a pair of flowers, it's a little bit risky, but so is playing the misfit quint with only 1 wind. And we would only be able to act on 1 block. Whereas by playing that third hand down, we can act on 2. We can pung, or we could Kong 2 of the 3 multiples in there. So in this case, I would not go for the quint. But that's a good question. Okay, so that'll be a good discard now too. Nobody wanted either one of those. Dragons out. I forgot to share that I need to leave 5 minutes early because I have a phone call meeting. So we need to leave. We need to end the live stream in an hour. Okay, here, let's Kong. And I would, by the way, We may be risking our joker, but if we don't Kong now, we're going to need a joker later. I would rather take it now since we have a hand with no gaps. That's the variable that I use as to whether or not if I want to take the risk of calling a discard. 3 dot was discarded. Okay. There's a joker open. 2 jokers are open. Let's let the year tiles go. I like to let the year tiles go because I don't want to ever pay for that big year hand. I think in the whole year, I've paid for that hand twice. 2 times I've seen someone win that hand, just 2. And I think I discarded the winning tile for one of them. The other one, I didn't discard the tile, but I try to discard year tiles if I'm not playing a year hand or with those tiles. Okay. So year tile. All right. So there's a 4-bam Kong. This 5 dot can be a good discard now. It's right there. I like to discard the tiles that are being discarded because I want to optimize my potential to do a joker exchange with unseen tiles. But the kicker with that tactic is that you've got to make a switch at around 50 tiles remaining. This is a more advanced discard strategy because you do not want to have unseen tiles in your hand going into the end game. So I'm holding the 8 crack and the 9 dot because I think someone might have them. For example, the player on our right could be playing, let's see, they probably wouldn't qualify with a 4 crack Kong. So the player on our left could be doing evens, or they could be doing 3, 6, 9, or 6, 7, 8, 9. So I want to hold the 8, 9. I might get a joker from an exposure from this player on the left. But I do not want to hold on to these unseen tiles beyond 50 because that's where it starts to get risky going into the end game. So when we get to about 53 tiles remaining, right now we're at 69. When we get to 53, that's when we start hoarding safe discards, the tiles that are already out. So let's ignore that. We need to draw it. Oh, I don't want to hold that 4, especially with this player on the right. We'll let that go. Okay, so now these are all out. We're at 63 tiles remaining. So we're still within that time where we want to optimize the opportunity for joker exchange. That was just thrown. Okay, they're doing 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's a 9 dot. So now we can let that go. We're at 57 tiles remaining. We have one more pick before we make a switch. So I would go ahead and just do it. We have only 1 tile that could be used. So I'd start holding safe discards now. Like I say, these guidelines, these are guidelines, not rules. They're not written in stone. There's flexibility with it. So I think we'll make that switch a little bit early. Okay, so we're ready now to Kong. We still need that flower. We're supposed to get 1.6 flowers from the wall. 1 dot can go. 5 dot and 9 dot are both discards, good discards for us. Okay. We still need that flower. There. So we definitely got our allotment of jokers from the wall. We got 3. So we're ready on a flower. And incidentally, I would probably not make any exposures here. I would keep this to myself because I don't want our opponents to think we're ready to win and hold on to flowers. Flowers are going to get risky to discard. There's only one out. So I would not call for anything right now. I would just wait for a flower to go down. I want my opponents to think that I'm not in this current status. We're ready to win. I don't want them to know. So we're going to stay concealed. That is a tactic called oh, now it just escaped my mind. All right, never mind. Let's move on. Inaction. That is inaction. We're just going to hang tight. And we're going to play to win, by the way. All right, now here's an interesting situation. We have an extra joker. We don't need that joker. We could discard the joker because we need a pair of flowers. You can't use a joker with a pair. So we have an extra joker. If we were to throw a joker, that is going to put everybody on high alert. They're going to know that we need a pair because you can't use a joker with a pair or a single. With an 8-dot Kong, we could be playing a few hands. Second hand down under evens. There are 2 pairs in that hand. We could be playing the multiplication hand. There's 2 singles in that hand. We could be playing the second hand from the bottom, 2 pair in both. We could be playing like numbers with 8s and flowers, or we could be playing like numbers with dragons. There's some pairs in there. So there are several there, and then consecutive run as well, which is what we're doing. So if we were to try to go for a pure hand, I think we have too many jokers to make that work with this many tiles remaining, 36. So instead of alerting the table by discarding a joker, we're going to discard a symbol tile. And I think I would discard, oh, you know what though? I think I might rethink that because we have a 6 and a 7. That's that would be my thought process normally. However, Agata on the left has 6s, a pung of 6s. We would throw a 6 bam and it's not out yet. The player across from us, they have 7s. Same thing. I see a 7 dot out, but there are no 7 cracks out. We don't need jokers. So we're ready to win. I think I would discard a joker at this point because we have 6s and 7s. So always look at the exposures before you make a choice, especially in the end game. This, I don't know if I could make this happen again. It's kind of another object lesson. I could not have planned for this. I'm going to discard a joker. So we're still ready to win. And we have thrown out a red flag. Someone might think that we're switching to defense, I suppose. Okay, 9 dot is out. That's fine. There it is. Mahjong. Woohoo! Okay, we got it. So our player on the left was doing 6, 7, 8, 9. They did not need the 6 bam. The player across from us is doing multiplication in odds. They would not have needed the 7. So we were okay, but you still want to be mindful. And then to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, next game. Thank you. Thank you, Evelyn. Okay, so what do we have? North, green, pair, red. 2, 6 in BAMs, 6, 7, 9 in cracks, 3, 5, 9, or 3, 5, 6, 9 in dots. If these were your tiles, what would you focus on? I'll give you 10 seconds. If these were my tiles, I'd focus on the green dragon because it's a multiple and the sixes. Since I'm keeping the sixes for maybe like numbers with dragons, I would also keep 3, 6, 9. So I would discard, well, let's just put these in line here. Okay, we have 4 discards. North, 2, 7, 5. So we have 3, 6, 9 of some kind or like numbers with sixes. And I would just stop there. We don't need to pick a hand. We don't even need to look at the card. Let's pass North, 2, 7. Okay, no keepers. And we could pass one of each suit. Okay, we got a 6 crack pair. We also have a 5 crack pair, 5, 6. We have 1 clear discard. Now is when we have to whittle out some earmarked keepers. Since we have a 5 crack pair, I would let 3, 6, 9 go. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have no 7. We have no 8. I think I would probably discard the 9 dot. The green and the red we might be able to use, but we're so far off right now, I wouldn't even think about a hand. I would just continue to gather. 1, 3, 9, 3, 9 in one suit, that's a little bit risky. Since we have no 7, 8 in cracks, I think I would keep the 9 dot and let the 9 crack go. Okay, so now we did get 9s. So I want to keep in mind what has been coming through. It does seem like 3, 6, 9 is going to probably recur, but we have a 5 crack pair. I want to leverage that 5 crack because it's a multiple, and American Mah Jongg is a game of multiples. Right now we have 2 9s and lots of 6s, but we have no 3s. I would rather leverage the 5 crack pair. So we're going to keep going, and we're going to let 9, 1, 2 go. Okay, now we have 4, 7, 9 can go. Let's just take a peek here at the 7. We have 6, 7, 6, 7, 5, 6. When you're working with consecutive run and you've got multiples, you want to keep a range of 4 numbers around the multiple. So the range here would be 5, 6, 7. If we get a 4, we might be able to use the 7s. If we get an 8, we would be able to use the 7s. 8 would be ideal. If we get an 8 dot or an 8 band, at the moment, that would be a long shot because we said if. Anytime the word if crosses your mind, that is a long shot and it should be low on the priority. I still wouldn't pick a hand. We need to, though, because we're doing the across, which is obligatory. We have to give up a tile. We have a hand. This is when you look at the card because we need to free up a discard. I would let one of the 7s go because we do have a hand with no gaps using the 6s, like numbers with dragons. We could use tiles like that and let one of the 7s go. And then we could maybe even use 5, 6 with one of the leftover 7. Since the 9 dot is there and we have a 7 dot, I would choose the bam. And that way we're doing one of each suit. So at this point, if we were to get an 8 dot, we could do 5, 6 cracks, 7, 8 dot. And that's as far as I would take it. I would just continue to gather now and not focus on what hand I'm playing until I get that next pass. We got an 8 bam. So it was the opposite. But look what we did get here. Red dragon. Because of that, I would focus on like numbers and I would let the 5 crack go and play like numbers with 6s. We would leverage 3 multiples that way. And we have tiles we can pass here. And we have tiles we can pass again. And I would break up the 5. So I'd pass one of each suit. You might think, well, why not keep the 5 crack? Because there is another tactic in the game called joker bait. Joker bait is when you keep an unwanted pair, and then in the middle of the game, you discard one to coax an exposure from an opponent with a joker in it. Exposure with a joker. So on your next turn, you use the other tile to do the exchange. But we're still in the Charleston. Anytime you hold an unwanted pair during the Charleston, it can hinder you. In this case, for example, if we kept that 5 crack for joker bait, we'd have to get that 5 crack all the way to 60 tiles remaining. Right now we're at 99. We have like 10 picks to go or something like that. So also we would have to discard a 9 crack, like numbers. I would not do that. That's almost as risky as passing a pair. So I would break up the 5. We may have another opportunity for joker bait. It could come, but also joker bait is not as successful as you might think. I actually learned this recently because we're doing a study on it. And currently, after 200 and nearly 30 attempts, the success rate for joker bait is 8%. 8%. Hit or miss, mostly miss. So here we go. So we have 5 discards and a hand with no gaps. We're an underdog. Let's see what happens. Underdog, and we have 1 vulnerability, the 6 bam. That needs to be a pair. We need to Kong the 6 dot, so we've got to gather, but we can use jokers there if we have to. So even though we have a hand with no gaps, it's weak. That's why we're an underdog. But we're still in good shape for this hand. Good thing we don't need flowers. Okay, winds go first. All right, here's a 3 crack. Now, I don't know if you're noticing, we've got 3, 6, 9 building here. 3, 6, 9. I would think about it. Let's let the 4 crack go. That's a year tile. So we have 3, 6, 6, 9, or like numbers with 6s. We're in between. We have 2 discards before we have to pick a hand. That would be a pair if we play like numbers with dragons. So we're just gonna, we have to let it go actually, because you can't call for a pair. Okay, let's let the 1 go. Okay, so they're doing east-west with a run, 2 tile consecutive Kongs. So 2 or 4 there. So we have a 3. Now we have 3, 6, 9 going. There is a hand we could potentially play here, but we have no flowers. Second hand from the bottom under 3, 6, 9. I would put that at the very low end of our options because we have a Kong gap. That's huge. I'd rather play like numbers with 6s, to be honest. 6s and dragons. Another player here with win. These robots love win hands. We have one clear discard. Yeah, I wouldn't keep that 7. That's already out. You know, the other hand we could probably play here, if the like numbers with 6s doesn't work, the 6 dot, let's say, we could play the 4th hand down under 369 with 6s, 6 crack red, 6 bam green. We'll just keep an eye on it. Here we would need to pong. So this is a good example of when to call. We could pung that, and that would work for the 4th hand down under 369. It could also work for the first hand. 2 options. It would not work for like numbers. We're right now we're playing maybe 3 different hands, 2 and 369, 1 in like numbers. Because we have 2 options in 369 that would use a 6 crack pung, I would take it. We've got 2 hands with no gaps. 3669, pung pung kong kong, and the dragon hand, the 4th hand down. So let's pung. So we do not need this 9 crack. Here's the green. We're not ready for it. We need to Kong that. So more likely than not, we'll probably play the first hand, which means if a 3 crack goes down, we could pung with confidence. Even though we're light with our 6s and 9s, we could build, and we can use any number of jokers if we have to. Same point here. Let's pung. So we're going to let the dragons go. We're going to need a joker for the 9 dot. Have no fear though. That is a hand of least resistance. You can use any number of jokers because any hand with 2 pungs, 2 kongs, you can use jokers throughout. Let's see. There's 7 dots out. The dragons are out as well. Nobody wanted the dragons. Okay, so we've got 2 cracks out, 4 dots are out, 4 bams are out. Therefore, they're looking for 2 dots on the left. I would say they're looking for 2 dots on the left. We need to think about that if we draw one. White is just discarded. Nobody wants these dragons. If nothing else, we have safe discards. Okay, now there's an option for us. Just keep every tile in your category. Just gather. We're still gathering. We've got options. Joker. There's our 1.6 jokers from the wall. We might get more. There's a keeper. We could Kong that for either one of those options on the first line under 369. We just need a little help with our 9. There's a joker. Let's see. Joker open? Yes, that joker is open for exchange. Uh-oh. We need to think about that 2 dot. They need that 2 dot. The thing is though, they have 2 exposures. If we discard that and play to win, now would be the time to do it on our next turn. It's risky. We don't know how close they are. There are no 2 dots out. There are no easts out either. The player to our right has a pung of souths. They could be playing all wins. And my guess is they're not, because there's a west out and there's a punga west in Agata's hand. I think on the right they're doing north and south. So it is likely that Agata has their east, and it is likely that they have at least a couple of twos and maybe a joker. So we have to decide whether we want to play to win or fold. We're at 40 tiles remaining. This is the end game, just the beginning of the end game. So if we are playing to win, we need to discard that 2 dot right now on our next turn. We can pung or Kong the 6 bam, but we need 9s. There's a 9 dot out. No 9 bams are out at all. 9 crack, 9 dot are out. So I think the 9 bams might be in the wall because the other 9s are out. Although maybe this player on the right is doing north and south with 8, 9. Could be. I think I would play to win. We're going to discard that 2 dot. Oh my gosh, we got the east. Okay. Let's do it. Oops. Look at their jokers. Excuse me, ma'am. Stinking 4 jokers? Gap hand? Oh my gosh, this robot. Joe, need your 6 dot. Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to do the next game. So yeah, they were ready to win because they had a stinking boatload of jokers. Okay, so now let's see if we can get some jokers this time. 2 jokers. So we have east, south, green, 1, 4, 5, 8, 9 bams, 2, 7 crack, 7 dot. Widespread. This is where you look for the predominant pattern. So with these tiles, what would you focus on? I have a tip for you. When you have a widespread, look for like numbers. That could reveal a pattern. In this case, we have 2 7s. So whatever we do, I would use the 7s. 8, 9, 5, 5 through 9, probably 7, 8, 9. And then I would discard those. We have 5, 8, 9 dragon, 2, 4 dragon. I think I would probably make this better and let a wind go. Maybe, yeah, I would want to put the 2 and the 4 in a different pass. Okay, we got 6s and a 7. So that worked out well for us. 6s and a 7 right in our wheelhouse. We have tiles we can pass. We have 5 through 9. That's a little bit of a long range in mixed suits. Usually you want 4 numbers in a range because in the mixed suit options, there are never, not on this card anyway, there's only 4 numbers in a range using mixed suits. So either the 5 or the 9 will go, and probably I would say the 9, because having a 5 has a little more flexibility, because we could even potentially, as a matter of fact, maybe even keep the 4 and let the 9 go, because then we could do 4, 5, 6, 7 and have a little more flexibility, because the 9 is on the edge of the run. You can't go beyond 9. You're stuck. You're at a wall. So by working down towards the center of the range, you're giving yourself more flexibility, more freedom. Okay, here's a 6. So we're looking at 6, 7, 8, 9, or 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 6, 7, 8. We have 2 clear discards. This is when you whittle out. We got to whittle something out. One thing that you can look for is isolated tiles. So in this case, this 8 bam could be considered isolated. We could do 4, 5, 6 with sevens, quint chow hand, 4, 5, 6 bam with pungs of sevens, but we have no flowers. We have a hand in here with no gaps. 6, 7 dot, 6, 7 crack using the pair with the 8 bam. No gaps. I would go with the no gap hand and I'd probably let the, let's see, 4, 5. We could do 4, 5 bam, 6, 7 crack. Let's let the 6 bam go. Okay, so now we got like numbers in there. We do have evens in here, 2, 4, 8 and bams, but we'd have to throw away a pair of sevens. I would rather leverage the multiple since you need them in the long run. I would not do that. So let's let the 5 go here. So we're focused on probably the concealed hand. Wow, look at these bams. Okay, let's pass 1, 9 with a 4. Actually, let's keep the 4 and pass a 2 because we still have some potential for that 4, 5, 6 hand. If we get the 5, 6 back, that would be a long shot. Okay, let's pass south 8 with a 3. And we have an 8 there, 6, 7, 8, 8. We have tiles we can pass. Okay, we didn't get the 5, 6 back, but that's okay. We're going to be an underdog because we have 5 discards, but we do have a hand with no gaps. We have a weakness, though, with this 8 bam. So we're just going to be mindful. Oh, look what came in. So we can hold 4, 5 if we get flowers. That would be a long shot option. These robots with the wins. Here they go again. Okay, that's a keeper. 7, 7 dot. So we have 6, 7 dot, 6, 7 crack, 8 bam pair. Or maybe 4, 5, 6 with sevens. We have no flowers though. And somebody kept that 6 bam. I think it was in the optional. I don't remember. There's 6 bam. Flower. Okay. So now we could consider 4, 5, 6 with sevens. We could pung both sevens. Where if we get one more flower, I would do it because we can use the jokers to help us with the flower. I don't know if I'd want to expose 2 jokers in a quint of flowers, though. That would get picked dry if there's such a thing. We got another keeper. Okay. We need that 8 bam in here. We have 3 discards. I think I probably would go for the concealed hand. 3 discards here. If we went for, if it were in between equally, because if we went for 4, 5, 6 bam with sevens, we would discard 6, 6, 8, 3 tiles. Here, 3 tiles. If we draw a flower, I'd go the other way. But now there's a keeper with the 6. So now I would discard the riskiest tile. Even though we're still at 76 tiles, we just entered the middle game. I would still let the flower go first. And then I would let the year tile go. So we're a little vulnerable still with our 8 bam. something we can keep our eyes open for are fives, like a 5 dot or 5 crack. Oh, never mind. 5 crack Kong on the right. I was thinking maybe we could play the fourth hand down single pair Kong, but there's a 5 crack pure Kong to the right. There's our 8 bam. Nobody wanted it. And we got a keeper. Okay, so 1 8 bam is out. That's our tile. Okay, joker open. 1 bam was just discarded. Nobody wants the 1 bam. We're at 52 tiles remaining. This is when you want to hold safe discards. That's a pung for us. Concealed. We're playing concealed. There's a joker open, I believe. Yep. They're playing the same hand over there. Okay. We need one more good pick. That's it. Okay, so these will go down here. So we're ready on the 8 bam.
None.
Who knows where it is?
Flower.
As a matter of fact, this player, let's see, 6, 7. They could be doing 4, 5. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8. They could have our pair. 6, 7, 8. They may have our pair for the second hand down. 1 8 bam is out. Let's just see what happens. Oh. 6 dot was just thrown. We're in the end game. We have 6 more picks. No. We want that 8 bam. Oh my goodness. They're playing the exact same hand as before. Oh, yep, there it is. 8 bam pair. 8 bam pair. They're playing a gap hand. They have no 5 bam. Stinking robot. Had our tile. Bye, Susan. Thanks for coming. Okay, we're going to do another game. It's nice to get ready to win at least. I'd call that a victory. Okay, now look what we have. We have 3 pair in here. Misfit multiples. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to go for the misfit quint. That's a discard. We're going to try for the misfit quint. Let's have a backup though. Let's keep 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. Let's start by discarding these. That would be an option, but we already have options for the 3. 6, 9, I'd let the east go. Okay, so no keepers really here. We got a keeper for the quint. Let's let one of these go. Actually, you know what? I think I would, excuse me. I think we need to break these out smartly here. Let's do the 4. We're left here with a 2, 3. Okay. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, no keepers. I don't want to do 3, 6, 9. Let's see here. Maybe we can do 2, 3, 6. So we're left with a 4, 9. Oh, well, this is interesting. North and south. We have tiles we can pass. Okay, so now we have options with north and south with 6, 7. Or we could do 2, 3. So we're in between the misfit quint, 3.7 bam north, second hand down under quints. We could also maybe do the third hand down north and south with 6, 7, but here's the 6. We're not ready for it. So I would let it go and maybe do 2, 3 with north and south. So we have 3 discards. We're in between hands. Until we pick a hand, I'd say we're an underdog. If we went for the quint, we would be an underdog because we have 5 discards. 2 bam south, 9, 3, 6. That's 5 discards. If we played north and south with 2, 3, we would also have 5 discards, but we would have joker bait. 8% success rate, I'd still say we're an underdog. 2 dot, we don't need. The only thing we can call for is the north Kong if we play the quint. Joker. Okay. We could quint the 3 or 7. So we're just going to wait, see how we draw until one of our tiles goes down. We don't have to pick a hand till one of our tiles goes down. South. That's a keeper for the third hand down. So probably what I would do is switch to 2, 3, 2, 3 north south. I'd give up on the quint and use the jokers over here. We could pung the south, Kong the 3, 1 tile needed for the 2. Or if the 6 comes in early. Okay, see you tomorrow, Susan. Thanks for coming. If we get a 6 crack, we could go that way too. Here, winds, I don't see any winds out. We have no west, so I wouldn't even consider playing the first hand. Since no winds are out, someone else is playing with winds. Let's find out. Is Agata gonna pung? Oh, big surprise. Okay. Okay, no worries, Evelyn. Thank you for being here. Flower. We don't need a flower. All right, now, do we Kong? We could Kong here. We could still pung the south. We could let that go and wait maybe for the 6, 7. Either way, I think it's 6 one, half dozen the other. I think I would go ahead and call since we have a hand with no gaps. Even though we're risking jokers, I think it's worth the risk. That joker swap was from the west across from us. Now we have the 7-band pair. It's not out yet. This would be joker bait. This is the sweet spot for joker bait. We're going to wait 2 more picks maybe. Let's see. Unless we get a keeper. We'll get down to, let's say, 1 more pick. See if we can get a joker out of it. Like right now. Let's do it right now. Nobody wanted it. That would be a miss. So at 54 tiles remaining, that was a miss. 54, no, 7-band. Okay, so we tried. It didn't work. Hit or miss. 8% success rate. So not surprised. A little surprised though, because this player to the right has an 8-band Kong. I thought maybe they would take it. So someone got our 2. All right, let's see. Let's let this 7 go now. So someone got our other 2, Wes. I don't know who got the other one, but anyway. Okay, let's see. We need a 3 dot or a joker. We're supposed to get 1.6 jokers from the wall. Okay, we've got our winner. They had our 3 dots. All right, so now let's see. We can do a speed round. Yep, for a speed round, we have really 7. We have about 12 minutes, 10 minutes for a game. Let's squeeze one in, okay? We have 3 pair in here. West, 5, 6. So we're going to target the multiples. Makes the decision making so much easier when you target multiples. Might as well keep the south. Might as well keep the 6. So 5, 6, east, west, 5, 6, gap. We have no east. Let's pass 9, 1 with one of the 7s. Okay, we got a west. We could play a quint. Here's a north. And we have tiles we can pass. There's an east. 2 discards. We have news. Let's see. Let's let the 6 crack go. We could do east and west with 5, 6. Or we could play a quint with the west 5, 6. No keepers. No keepers. Okay, we did get a 6, but it's the wrong suit. We could maybe have done news with 6s concealed, but we'd have to throw away a pair of west. I wouldn't do that. I'd leverage that pung. Okay, still no keepers. I'd keep these going. No, no keepers. We have tiles we can pass. Now that's a little bit risky there. I think what I would do here, pass the 2 and maybe the south. Let the north go later. Keep east-west. Okay. We've got 5 discards, but we're the dealer. So I would say we're a contender if we play east-west with 5, 6. We have a pung of east. We could Kong either the 4, 5 or the 6. We have no gaps. Now here we could pung, and I would because we have a hand with no gaps. So I'd give up on the quint and pung. We could wait, but if you have a hand with no gaps and multiples for every block, stay ahead, lead the pack with a winning hand. That's my vision. We can use any number of jokers with this hand. Nobody wanted to crack. Nobody wanted the 4-bam or the 6. 3-bam, 6 crack are both out. We don't want dragons. Dragons are a risky hold. These should all be safe discards. They're all out. Oh, 6 crack. That's probably not a good keeper. It's out, but it is an option. If a 6 bam goes down, we'll be in the same place. Don't want to hold flowers. If you don't need them, get rid of them. Oh, Kong with 2 jokers. That's risky. Another Kong with jokers. These robots, they are lucky. They get lots of jokers. We got one. That's nice. Okay, let's see if we can get an exchange tile. Luck of the draw. Mercy of the wall. We're at the mercy of the wall. Joker. Okay, let's let the 6 crack go because it's already out. So we're set. This is a state when you can claim a discard for every block in your hand. It's not ready to win. It's set, meaning, again, you can claim a discard for each block. So we can claim a 5 dot, we can claim a 6. And either way, either one of those will make us ready to win. So it's the state where you're 1 pick away from ready. No, that's not quite true. That's 1 away. That's what I call 1 away, because if you are 1 step, let's see, if you're set, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're 1 away from ready. In this case it is, but that's just situational. Yeah, we don't want that. We need a 6 bam. Okay. Okay, we're in the end game. 33, 32 tiles remaining. There's a keeper. Okay, now we're on what's called a double weight. We could win with a 6 or a 5 because we have jokers, and these are both Kong blocks. So we have a double weight. It's not a guaranteed win, but we're in pretty good shape. There it is, Mahjong. We got one. Well, I think this is our second one against these formidable robots. East West with 5-6. East West 5-6. Okay. I think that's going to do it for this live stream. I don't think we can fit another one in. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you found this episode helpful. If you missed the beginning of this session, scroll back, because we did a presentation showing 3 top tactics for hand development that can help build your confidence with decision making and also help you with quicker decision making. It simplifies the decision making. So I hope you give these tactics a try. Optimize, maximize, streamline. And if you can do all three, it's a power play. Thank you so much for watching my videos and for sharing about MAHJLIFE. Moderators, thank you for helping monitor the chat today. It was a great episode. We'll be back again tomorrow for the Obsessed tier Let's Play live stream. Wednesday, Fanatics tier, well, members only. And then Thursday, we'll be back for Beat the Pro. If you'd like to try to win against me at the table, look for a link in the video description below and join us for Beat the Pro. We'll be back on Friday night from 5 to 6 for Simply Social Let's Play live stream, where we hang out and loosen up for more Beat the Pro from 6 to 9. And I'm calling that Friday night episode Beat the Pro Plus. If we get over 100 viewers in the live stream, we'll play Beyond 9, and we'll keep playing as long as we have over 100 viewers in the live stream. So share about the channel with your friends, share about that particular live stream so that we can play more Mahjong and have more fun together. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I post new videos, and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or pick up an insight to the game that could give you an advantage at the table. Between now and the next video, may all your picks be keepers.